All right, everyone, welcome back. Today I have Karen Fox, who is the head of talent attraction and engagement for Berkadia, and I got that right. They're the largest non-bank commercial real estate lender in the U.S., and I'm so excited to have Karen on. Karen, thank you for coming on and being some bonus content for John Biasello's episode on the two types of people.
You got it. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so when John was one of the first guys that I told I was writing my second book. So he has followed this journey for 4 years. And every time I talk to him, he would mention his time at Holy Family University, his day-to-day in business. And so when I had the chance to bring him on to the podcast, it was exciting for me because, as I said in the episode, one of my longest standing professional and personal contacts, my first client as a marketing agency owner, and just a guy who has really supported this. So when I said, hey, who do you have? He mentioned a few people, and Karen, you came up right away. So Karen, thank you again for being on and having this conversation.
I'm delighted. Thank you.
So if you don't mind, I want to start with your connection to John because it was very, very fascinating to hear that. So why don't you go ahead and just give the quick how you know John Biasello.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me, too, when I think about it. I was a young college student doing an internship at an insurance company where my brother worked and minding my own business, if you will, just doing my, trying to learn and get my foot in the door. John and I must have worked together. I didn't even really realize it back then, but we were introduced. Fast forward, I guess 15 years, we find ourselves both on an advisory board at Holy Family for the School of Business. And we make the connection, and I share my name, he shares his name. People do their introductions and their backgrounds, and we're like, I'll be darned. We worked at the same company. He said, I know your brother, and he kind of remembered, and I kind of did too. But it was an instant connection. We share a lot in common, obviously, school and neighborhood, and stories of growing up, just living in the same place, even though we didn't always cross paths, and have spent a lot of time together the last 10 years just trying to do good for Holy Family, kind of give back, given some of the success we've had with our careers, and just supporting in any way that we can.
Fantastic. I love that. So part of what we did throughout the book and what we do on the podcast, both in these featurettes and in the main conversations on the podcast, is I like to peel back the layers on people because I find, even John Biasello, someone who's in insurance M&A, if you tell a high school kid, a college kid, or someone that's not in that world, that's not an exciting thing to most people. And so I like showing, the differences in careers and showing that insurance, commercial real estate, whatever it is, can be very exciting, and the people inside of it are what really make it amazing. So one of the questions that actually we use a lot on the Determined Society, which is we're part of that network, and I co-host it on a monthly basis, but I ask our guests, we say, if you were a college athlete, if you are driving around, you need that motivation, whatever it is, we like to look at music and how that motivates people. So if there's one song, Karen, that is your hype song, what is that song on your playlist?
Can I give you two?
You
It
can.
doesn't have to be one.
You can do two.
No. The one, it depends, right, on what I'm getting hyped about. So if it's something really hard that I have to do, whether it be work or life or what have you, and I always say, I guess, don't judge a book by its cover, right? But I really enjoy rap music at times. I like a lot of music, but anyway, when you think about my generation coming up and famous artist, Eminem is one that I go to. He has a song called Lose Yourself, and I remember there were many a times in my career when I was prepping for some big presentation. I would be driving to work, and I often had like a 45-minute to an hour drive, and I would just blast that song and just get in the right mood, because I was presenting to more senior people as me, like in my journey, from a leadership standpoint, trying to rise and going into these meetings with more senior people. And it's like, it's now or never. Like, just do your thing, share what you know, and be yourself, kind of. But this is your chance. And his song would always just pump me up. And I guess that sounds funny, but that is the truth. The flip side of it, if I need to get pumped up for something more personal and fun, and I'm just looking for a burst of energy, I love the movie Footloose. That again, I'm dating myself, but that theme song to me just has so much energy. I just immediately start moving and dancing, and puts me in the right mood. So it depends, but from a business standpoint, I have something hard to do. I'll probably put Eminem in my ears.
Eminem, and then I just see Kevin Bacon on the other side. I get it. I like that.
It doesn't even right. They're totally different, but
No, so what we've done with this is when we ask these questions, when we get the response, we add them to a playlist on Spotify. So if you go to The Frequency, you'll see the Term Society, and we add these songs because as we're going through, people can hear this. And actually yesterday, I wasn't on that playlist, but at the gym, Lose Yourself came on. And I thought, what are the chances, besides, our phones listening to us and knowing everything about us, but that song came on at the gym yesterday, and I thought about you, Karen, and coming on today. So that's a very appropriate one. We have multiple Eminems, so we'll be adding that in honor of you. And every time we hear it, we'll think about doing some hard stuff.
That's funny.
All right, so let's talk real quickly about Berkadia, because I'm very interested in this. So if you can, just a quick, what is the company, and then specifically your role with talent attraction and engagement, obviously dealing with people and a lot of different types of people day to day.
Yeah. So Berkadia is in the commercial real estate industry. It's an industry I was not familiar with until I came here. I mean, you knew of it, but didn't know all the nuance and complexities of the industry. I've been here for 4 years. And just to explain commercial real estate a bit, because I think people get an impression of what it is, and sometimes it's actually, well, oftentimes it's much different. But for us, Berkadia is a joint venture between two companies, Berkshire Hathaway and a financial services company called Jefferies. The Berk is part of Berkshire Hathaway. That's where that comes from, and I think we all know who is behind Berkshire, right? Warren Buffett. So it's one of Warren Buffett's, broader portfolios of companies. So we like to say we're the largest non-bank commercial real estate lender in the U.S. We work closely with banks, government-sponsored entities, life companies to help our customers, our clients acquire properties and to secure the right dollars, if you will, or capital solutions to support their long-term investment strategies. When I say commercial real estate, there's a lot of different verticals to that as well. We're specifically or largely in the multifamily space. So when you think about things like hotels, hospitality, senior housing, healthcare, things like that. A lot of people, when they think commercial real estate, immediately go to retail and big corporate high-rise type buildings, and that is commercial real estate, but we're in a slightly different part. The other thing I'll say about Berkadia, which is really neat from a business strategy standpoint, is we're a multi-pronged company. So we do sales, we do mortgage banking, which is the capital solution side, like helping our customers find the debt equity to be able to finance or refinance. And then we are a servicer. So when you think of a mortgage company servicing a loan for a client, we do that as well. So when you think about the market and the ebbs and flows in a market, our multi-pronged business allows us to always stay afloat, if you will, because even if sales aren't high, right, where there's still servicing component to that debt. And that largely, it keeps our business vital, if you will. My role specifically, I came to Berkadia to run talent acquisition. Talent acquisition is essentially recruiting. My role has expanded since I've been here, which is just awesome and fantastic. I feel very lucky. I am responsible for our HR communications, all of our DEI work, which at Berkadia is called Belong at Berkadia, all of our engagement, initiatives associated with people and talent, and then obviously the recruiting side, which is we have campus recruiting, our early talent recruiting, our professional recruiting, and then we do executive recruiting as well.
Keeping you busy.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. It sounds very interesting. And again, I like giving the special guests the opportunity to talk a little bit more about what they do because just like you said, on the cover or on the surface, some of these things could seem very boring. When I first came out of school, I went into consulting and worked with independent insurance agents for 6 years. And, you come to find out they're actually people and they have fun and they can make a lot of money and have a lot of freedom. But you just don't think about those things. You think, and I know it's changed a lot, but insurance and commercial banking are not on the top list of what kids want to be when they grow up these days. So, all right, so let's shift and let's get to the main point. So, Karen, there are 2 types of people in this world. What are they?
What are they from my perspective, right? Because I didn't hear what you just said. I'm sorry, but I think I got it.
Correct.
Yeah. I think I said to you I could answer this in a lot of different ways, but putting into perspective what I just shared around our business, commercial real estate, the best way for me to describe from a leadership standpoint, like the 2 types of people that I think of, you have your architects and your builders. And architects to me are people that can see something that isn't quite there yet. They have a vision. And they don't just have the vision, but they can articulate that vision and influence others to see and bring them along. And so much so that, they can work with the builders to translate that vision. And the builders help to make the vision the reality. So like coming at it through a constructive or positive lens, you need both types of people. The people that can see the forest through the trees, and then those that can get you through the forest, if you will. And that's just kind of, you can slice and dice that in a million different ways. The other thing that came to mind when I was asked that question was, and I want this to come across positively, but I think of the 2 types of people as those that just naturally will give, and then those that naturally take. So that's another, the givers will give and just kind of let be. And those that are taking are just kind of the taking and running. And I like to lean more into those that, and when I think about Berkadia, even from a cultural standpoint, why I've been here for so long and why I hope to be here much longer is the way that we work with our clients, our customers, the way that we work with each other is to give and let be, if you will, meaning, not necessarily in it for me, but in it for the customer. What can I do for you? How can I be helpful? And what's it going to take? So when you think about the type of people that I'm drawn to personally, it's that. Also the architects, those that are kind of visioning things, but I understand the world needs a little bit of everything.
That is such a great explanation of this entire project because it's not about being good or bad. There's no, you do this side of the spectrum and you will guarantee yourself success. It's about recognizing the patterns that you operate in and about looking where you are overall, but then day to day saying, today I need to be maybe a little bit more of an architect because I've got some planning to do. And so it's about recognizing, again, just overall, but then day to day. And your answer ties so well into John Biasello's answer. Wow. He was brick breakers or stone chippers or cathedral builders. So you can go there. And then in the book, we actually have Jesse Cole, who's the man in the yellow tux, the owner of the Savannah Bananas. His answer was dreamers and doers. So very, very similar in talking about, he is the visionary, he's the big personality, but you have to have those doers. And at times he's got to roll up his sleeves, especially early on, to get things done. And so when I look, so I've got one follow-up question and then I'll have one wrap up and we'll be done. But In your role, when you look at the two sides, is that something that you take into account when you're evaluating people, not only in how they could fit into that role, but are you specifically looking for those long-term visionaries versus a doer in a specific role?
Not necessarily. I think the role will determine that. You know, if you have someone, you know, if you have more of an executive type role, you're probably going to lean into the architect prototype a little bit more versus, you know, an individual contributor. They're helping to build something and to execute. So not necessarily. I think you have to take into perspective like what it is needed, you know, based on that job profile. And sometimes it's point in time too to complement a team or to just kind of, you know, solidify a team. And it goes back to what you said, what I shared too. I think, you know, we diversity is huge. I'm a big fan of that. You know, we need a little bit of everything to make something great. So no, I don't think I would just say it's not black or white to me.
That's it. And again, going back to John's answer, it's all about mindset, right?
Yeah.
You can be a doer who is, you know, breaking the rocks inside the organization, so to speak, doing the day-to-day hard stuff. But if you see how that contributes to helping the leadership do their job better, push the organization forward, it's all a mindset thing. So what a wonderful tie. And it was not at all planned, people. This just happened to work out well. I mentioned earlier, this is a spin-off show and part of the Determined Society with Sean French Network. And so I have to wrap up with one final question. It ties everything together, and it's what drives everyone that we've talked to in the show and in the book. It's about determination. So Karen, what is your your definition of determination?
Never giving up. That's it, right? Like you just have to. One of the like we use this word a lot at Holy Family, right? So speaking of John and some of our history together, Holy Family is a very not very. It's a smaller school, Catholic school, very unique culture, very unique mission and values, and they've been around for a long time, and they continue to grow, expand, get stronger. Where we see a lot of higher education not doing so well. But I think it's because of their determination, and a word we throw around a lot is just grit. You know, it's just this desire to press on regardless, no matter what, right? And just never, never, never give up. Despite some of the adversity and things don't go, we weren't always at the top of our game. When I think about Holy Family and just some of the iterations of their leadership and journey and things like that. But, you know, if you stay with it, and John and I are examples of that, where we said, like, we're not necessarily getting anything out of it except, you know, this satisfaction to give back and do something better and to leave something better. But because you have people like John or myself who just continue to show up, that's another thing that I say to my kids all the time is just, even when it's hard, just show up. You know, just show up. And that's determination, right? Even when you don't feel like it and you don't want to, you do it anyway. And you just hunker down. Like, that's the grit part of it. So it's not easy. I know that. But it's usually, you know, why we all end up having success over time is because we just keep pressing on no matter what.
That's right. We talk a lot about motivation, and that comes and goes a lot, and it's that determination. So, yeah, it's doing it when you don't want to, but maybe even more so, especially when you don't want to, showing up. And I'm sure you've been through a lot of that in your career and in your life. Karen, this has been such a great conversation, so many great tie-ins. John's been trying to get me up there for a long time. We're trying to make it happen. Now that I know Roger, we've got Dr. Prisco. Now you, we're just making all the friends up in the Northeast. So we're gonna make our way up there for sure. So thank you again for coming on. Can't wait for everyone to see this, and can't wait to get up there and meet you someday.
Yeah, thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
It was great. A lot of fun. Thank you.